and in 11, 12, and 12, 13, we have jumped it to $18,000. That's
Yes.
a major increase, but
Yeah, what happened was the finance director, Schoenfer, actually moved money from a different account into that and placed it where it actually should be.
right.
So there was a reduction in costs elsewhere, but we moved it from one account to this account. That's why that budget shows a big gain.
Right.
That's additionally to maintain the fire break as well.
Yeah.
That's why it's been-
Yeah.
Correct. So it really reflects our priority in making sure that our community is safe and in preparation to summer possible fire situation and so forth. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
On page 113, in the top section under communications, fourth item down, local phones, station phones, modems, etc. We're going from $1,000 to $7,900. Is there a reason for that?
I'll have to get there.
Page 113?
Yeah, unfortunately, my budget numbers don't match your budget numbers, so I have to get there. So I am under communications now, so,
Okay,
It
fourth
goes-
item down,
yes.
showing an increase from 1,000 to 7,900.
Our records just show that it's the ongoing cost of maintaining that.
Yes.
I can see there's a jump from 1,000. Let us look back at that because that seems like a big jump. The month-by-month charges here, it's all covered by the ongoing cost of maintaining
Okay.
that system.
Yeah.
But
Have a look at it.
1,000 to 70, we must have gotten a heck of a deal because in 1 month, it's $600 a month just to maintain it. So we may have been off in previous years on that budget number.
Okay,
Additionally, we'll be working with the police department to look at reducing our number of lines also.
good.
Yeah.
Anyhow. All right, Chief, on page 109, I'm looking at 3 captains, 6 firefighters, and 1 office assistant. Now, those are all our personnel over here, is that it?
That's correct.
From battalion chief on is North County, right?
Correct.
And the 1 office assistant is located at our headquarters, and that's where you achieve the savings.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yeah, please.
In regards to the question about communication, I looked at that part of my checking of the budget. It looks like your communication cost average is about 13,000 annually. In the past, that's how the expenses have gone through. So 14,000, I think, probably is the right amount. I think the budget for 10, 11 might have been that there were some charges distributed to some other areas.
Correct. Well, one of the things when I took over the budget I did was I didn't do a lot of changes the first year, and we instituted within the department a very thorough tracking so that when we came up into the budget this year, we actually had actual costs and adjusted the budget to reflect the actual costs in each section, trying to maintain the budget structure and maintain a lower budget. The only increase is actually $9,000 because of the increase in cost for the temporary station.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, can I just like to highlight one particular point? I guess Councilmember Lentz was asking about the opportunities for continued collaboration in our North County Fire Authority. And I know you're aware of this, but I think it's always good to kind of reintroduce it. If you look back at professional services, you'll notice that we have reduced professional services by about $170,000, and that's reflective of the fire inspection program. A couple of years ago, the administration of North County Fire had a desire to bring all of their administrative clerical people into one unit, which involves one of our people going up there. And in exchange for that, they said that they would basically zero out our fire inspection costs and then come to Brisbane as we needed in the spring with regards to our weed abatement program. So basically, they throw whatever resources from their administration and fire marshal's office at that weed abatement issue, get it done with in a relatively short period of time. So it's worked out well for the cost, the North County Fire Authority, which directly reflects cost to the city of Daly City, but also reduced our cost by quite a bit. So we are kind of on a consistent basis looking for those kinds of opportunities, and the chief brings those to me from time to time, and I think that's just a sign of how strong our relationship is in terms of the North County Fire Authority.
If I could add just one more thing, it's okay if I come up there. Just to kind of, good evening. Just to kind of add on to the city manager, if you take a look at the total budget for professional services, for that amount of money that you're talking about, you're getting a fire chief, a fire marshal, training officer, 3 battalion chiefs, all the Fire Prevention Bureau, all the clerical for that amount of money. And if you were to look at that budget and you tried to hire one person, you'd be pretty close to that number. So this city and the other 2 cities were very wise 9 years ago to look at doing sharing. It was a struggle then, and now you look at all the communities in almost every place in California, they're all trying to do what we're doing, and they're having a hard time with it. We just were way ahead of everybody else. So to your question, Councilmember Lynn, we keep looking, other communities maybe coming to talk to North County Fire Authority about being a part of it, because complete mergers at this time don't make it work for you financially. It's looking at sharing and consolidating of the different costs and those kinds of things. So this is a model that I seem to go around and talk to people or get phone calls all the time about how to put this together throughout California. So we're right there. We're doing all the right things.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad that we've been able to team up with you. I think the community feels that the service that they've received has been very adequate and professional. And, of course, with our current budget, and we're really grateful that, we're able to share those services and keep our budget in line with what we need.
And I think it's just a good relationship. We've had a real good working relationship over here with this community for a long time. We care about all 3 communities, and we get along, all 3 of the cities. And so that's kind of one of the things, if others want to join, we got to make sure that the dynamics are right too.
You're right about that. Communication is key. I mean, we've always had really great communication with you, and hope to have that continued in the future.
Thank you.
I just wanted to also add another thing. You don't have to leave. It's okay. Again, it's a repeat, but I think we are really blessed to work with you. I remember when we were looking into this kind of a partnership, there was some hesitation from community members. They were fearful and so forth. But I think you guys have done a great job. And a few days ago, a couple of senior individuals that I was talking to, they are so pleased that they're afraid that any changes could happen again. They're so used to what you're doing and so grateful. So thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I have one.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure who can answer this, and perhaps Chief Johnson, but the overtime is close to 25%. Why is that so high?
One of the reasons is you are basically what they call constant staffing. So you have 3 people on each shift, and you need 3 people a day. Mm-hmm. So anytime anybody takes vacation, anybody calls in sick, if there's anything, there is an overtime cost. But you offset that by the salary savings on the other side. So you'll see the salary savings, the salaries go down, but the overtime goes up.
Just to add that when we made the reductions from when we used to have a relief, we had 3 people, 1 per shift for relief. Mm-hmm. We eliminated those for cost-saving purposes some years ago. But we were going to have to take some of those savings, put over to overtime, because you're going to increase your overtime. You have no more relief.
Yeah.
But it still is a more cost-effective this particular point to do it that way. Okay. But it will increase your overtime. We went from 85,000 to 200 and some thousand.
I wonder at what point, though, when you consider hiring somebody or a person that rotates, or maybe even between stations or something, because...
Yeah, and that's something we keep trying to look at. You really don't have the ability to know when someone's going to have to use leave time. Uh-huh. Vacation, sort of, but all the other kinds of leaves, you can't quite get that person to move every day, or then you're paying them overtime. So this is the most effective way to do it with the 9 that we're operating right now. And, we'll continue to look at those kinds of opportunities, but we're probably not looking at adding any personnel right now. We'll look at it though as we move into the future.
Could I ask another question, if I may, Mr. Chair? We have on, what they call it, safety clothing. It looks like 1 year is about 6,000, another year goes to 26, another years go to 7, and then another year go double that. Why is there such a variation from year to year?
I can answer. About 6,000 a year goes to paying the employees for their clothing, their uniforms, per each person. The anomaly of the 20,000 was we bought new turnouts, which we were expected to buy, and we have a replacement fund that we put money away each year to do that. It get charged in the safety clothing piece of it, but that was where all of North County bought turnouts. Every 5 years, we have to buy new protective equipment for the firefighters. So that's why it went from 6 to 26, because that 1 year we bought brand new turnouts for. And we'll do that again in another 3 years, I think it is, or so.
So you said it's a requirement every 5 years?
Yeah, the garments have a lifespan, and so what we do is we keep 2 sets of turnouts. So we actually are able to utilize that second set for another couple more years.
Right.
We have 2 sets, so if one gets damaged, one gets wet, one gets used, they have a second set to put into service while that gets repaired or cleaned, and then we are able to keep 2 sets. So when 5 years comes up again, we'll take the first set, put it in reserve, so they can use that and buy a new set. So we do that all together, and that's another advantage is the purchasing that we do. We're able to buy all of the firefighters in North County turnouts at the same time. So instead of paying, say, $3,500 a set, we're paying something like $2,800 a set or less. We go on able to buy together and save money that way too.
Do you do also piggybacking on, let's say, county contracts that they have with
Yeah, we look
providers?
for anybody out. That's the other thing. We look for somebody else that may have already gotten a real good bid. We even go with like LA County
Good.
Fire, Los Angeles City Fire. We'll try and find what their bids
Right.
were and then tag on, piggyback onto their bids as well. But we try to look at everything we buy together, and we usually are able to do that pretty well.
I think the League of Cities has come up with this purchasing agreement that a lot of cities can statewide.
Right, and what we found is sometimes even we just look around. Sometimes we find local places that are
Yes.
cheaper than anybody else.
Yes.
Just printing costs, all those kinds of things. We do our
Yes.
printing in Brisbane, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chief, too, our condolences on your fallen comrades
Oh.
from San Francisco, and, maybe you'd like to comment on that.
Yeah, not to speculate at all on what happened over there, just to say that you never know when we're going to run into a bad situation. And I think people sometimes think the fact that we don't have fires every day, all it takes is one. And we lost 2 firefighters in San Francisco, which is something we work very, very, very hard not to have somebody even get injured, let alone, die in a fire. And so when that information comes out on what happened, we'll use that. But we spent our last 2 years going through a bunch of risk management training, looking at all kinds of things to try and prevent our firefighters from being injured, from equipment to communications to standard operating procedures. Everybody out there is trying to do their best to protect firefighters, but it's a dangerous job, and unfortunately we get banged sometimes on our pay and benefits and those kinds of things, but all the pay and all the benefits don't do anything for you if you get seriously injured or killed. So, but thank you very much.
D. Ellison, D&B, Bill Ellison, D works for the brother of one of the firemen that died.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
No.
No?
So,
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
everybody.
And Chief Police, thank you very much for your help. Okay, the next order of business are staff reports. City Manager's report on upcoming activities.
Just a reminder that you'll be back here next Monday night for a budget session, and we will attempt to go through the remainder of the budgets. We are anticipating now that we would need a meeting on June 27th to actually adopt the budget and have that adopted by end of the fiscal year.
If we could, probably for our viewers, because we've already had an initial budget meeting, and I don't believe that was televised.
No.
Yeah, can we just kind of give a quick synopsis of, because we did a 2-year budget, and this is a 2-year budget, but we're only going to adopt 1 year of it. So if you can kind of give an overview of that,
Sure.
real quick.
Do you want me to do it right now?
if it's okay with the mayor.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay, I can start and Stuart can jump in if need be. Because of the, we went to 2-year budgets a couple of years ago, and it was a very good kind of planning process for the staff as well as for the council, and kind of gave a longer view. Unfortunately, we're in very unsettled times from a financial perspective, just because of the Great Recession, but beyond that, our additional issue with our major sales tax producer leaving town. Because we are uncertain what is going to happen after that, whether we're going to have a replacement revenue or not, and recent information from Recology in San Francisco is making us more doubtful that revenue will be generated in the time frame that we had originally hoped for. Because of that, and the need that we will have to adjust the budget probably pretty significantly in terms of how we approach city services and what services we ultimately prioritize. It was a recommendation of your council subcommittee and a decision of the entire council when we met last week to just adopt the 2011-12 budget. We have the 2012-13 numbers there, but we wouldn't adopt the 12-13 budget. Subsequent to that, I think we've had some ongoing very good conversations at the subcommittee level. We want to come back to the council in September with a workshop to start really delving into the priorities of the city as articulated through the budget, and start to look at the various options we have that will be able to get us to live within our means. I think one of the conversations we had this morning with the subcommittee was that there's a couple different ways. The city has done a good job over the years of getting a pretty good reserve position, and I guess one line of thinking is that, well, you could just kind of play that out over a series of 2, 3, 4 years perhaps. But I think the feeling at the subcommittee level, and I certainly would echo it, is that if we believe we need to adjust the budget based on VWR leaving, that the sooner we do that and the better we keep our reserves in place, the better off we will be. So we're going to be coming back to you in September with the idea that, that we bring the budget into long-term balance sooner than later. Depending on what options we ultimately end up going forward with, that the council endorses, some of those things are going to be relatively, you can implement in a relatively short time frame. Some others may take much longer to implement. So we may end up using reserves as we're implementing some of these things. But we think that the sooner we get on top of the options that we need to look at, the better off we're going to be. And reminding ourselves that one of our values that we've adopted, the council adopted, was maintaining a secure financial position, and we've defined that for some number of years now, of keeping a minimum fund balance of $5 million. So that goes way beyond what we talked about last week, but kind of incorporates, I think, some of the things that have happened over the last week with regards to concerns that the Recology project may not be moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a good snapshot of where we are.
I know, Stuart, do you want to add?
The only other thing I would add is that this year's budget is I think about $30,000 in deficit based on using the fringe benefit fund that the city council had set aside a number of years ago for PERS increases. So using that this year, the 11-12 budget is about $28,000 in deficit, which I think throughout the year will be made up from reductions in expenditures. I know right now one of the ones we're working on in our department is saving $20,000 for our GASB 45. So I think that was another one of the reasons that the subcommittee suggested just adopting the 11-12 budget.
Very good.
Is there some way that before we implement any of these or take any serious action, do we get a chance, the council and the city manager yourself, meet together and discuss this?
That's what,
Because there's certain things I don't agree with, and I don't want to get involved in the discussion tonight. But just from that perspective, it's easier to hash it all out in a closed session or a workshop or something.
Well, in a workshop session, what we're planning on doing is coming back to you in September, and we'll try to focus on two things at that point in time. One is, where are the priorities? Okay, and then within the priorities, are there other models in which we provide those services that the council wants to take a look at?
Thank you. Okay. Mayor, council matters, subcommittee reports.
Well, we did have,
I,
I mean, the budget subcommittee's been working pretty hard, and I know we had a school subcommittee meeting last Tuesday. Saw you were there, and Seppi and Steve, I don't know if you guys watched it or had a chance to watch it, but I think it was pretty good from a question and answer point of view that, and there will be follow-up meetings. I'm not sure when staff is going to connect with their staff and, kind of help ferret through their issues too, and so I thought, Cliff, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but.
Yeah, well, it was, I mean, I'm very grateful to be on that subcommittee, especially with what's, how important it is with the community at this time. But I thought it was a good meeting. I thought we were able to take some of the questions that the community had brought forth and expanded upon that. We looked at what does the Baylands have to offer in regards to helping the school district, at this time and perhaps, in the future. We also talked about an option of a unified school district. And, of course, it's been a long time desire for many people in Brisbane to perhaps have a high school option in Brisbane. And so it was interesting to look at some of the numbers, from property tax values that go to the Jefferson Union High School District, and hopefully that is something that can move forward and be analyzed, and looked at an option to help the school district with its financial situation. So I thought it was very good.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was very comprehensive. Good questions, good crowd, terrific crowd. Okay. Next, we have item B, consider rescheduling Parks and Rec Commission joint meeting with the council.
Yes,
We've got a lot of things coming on our plate for the next few weeks. Did you want to do this tonight, or I think Parks and Rec meets next Wednesday, is it?
yes.
Do you want to wait till after their meeting and see?
Well, they talked about this at their last meeting.
Oh, have they? Okay.
Yes, they have. Unfortunately, at least one of their members is not going to be able to make the 27th, which I think is fortuitous because it gives us, the city council, the opportunity to adopt the budget on the 27th and maybe have a more fuller conversation on the budget on the 27th. They had talked about potentially looking at the second Monday of July as an alternative.
How about July 4th?
I think they would be willing to do that.
When
Just
do we
kidding.
go dark?
It's just,
When do we go dark in this?
Well, we haven't set a schedule at this point, but I do believe we're going to need both July meetings. So basically after the second meeting of July, which is,
okay, July 11th, I'm okay with that.
after July 18th.
Just to note, I will not be available the first council meeting in July.
That's the 5th.
yes. So
Be back by July 11th, Steve? That's next Monday.
I'm going on vacation the first 2 weeks of July.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what the dates are.
Yeah, that would be,
the 4th and,
Kind of tight.
4th and 11th, he won't be here then. But you were saying that after 11th, so 18 might be good. But that's council
Well, the
meeting.
18th is the council.
meeting.
So,
Yeah, talking to the Parks and Recreation Commission, we could postpone this till September. I mean, there's nothing pressing from the Parks and Recreation Commission. So if you would like to do this after you come back in September, that would be fine with them as well.
so moved.
Yeah, second.
We got a motion and a second.
Okay, the only thing to give you a heads up on is we're going to probably do something slightly different with the Volunteer of the Year and the Star Awards. And they were going to talk about that, but we'll present a staff report in September about that instead.
Okay. And then when are we going to celebrate our 50th? Did anybody have a date?
We don't have, excuse me. I was going to put it on this agenda to have you set a date, but in reviewing the availability of Mission Blue on Saturday nights, and it's busy for weddings and things that people have arranged well ahead of time. So I have more detail that I need to bring to you, probably at your next, or our next regular meeting,
Okay.
to consider possibly the Radisson, and/or do it on a Friday night or a Sunday. So I wanted to bring you options rather than just a couple of
At the
days.
next
Are all the Saturdays booked?
In September, all of the Saturdays are booked until November 5th. And they're not things that would be easy for us to move because people have scheduled them a year out, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, something that is not, it's not like just a class that can be moved. So
Why don't we have it on November 12th then?
Too far down. If something opens up in September or before, why don't you grab it?
Yeah, she knows that we wanted it.
Tentatively, we get a
Right. But we need to set a date soon so that I can begin bringing you options for what to do. So at the next regular meeting, I'll write something up and let you know what your options are as far as a facility to begin with, so.
What about Sundays, Sherry?
And there was a Sunday, there was a Friday, and a Saturday in November, so I was gonna bring those three things for Mission Blue.
Okay, so there are no Sundays in,
Oh, in September?
September.
You know, I'll check, I'm not sure about that.
but I agree with Conway. November is a good time to celebrate and so forth and so on. It's a holiday season celebration. September's are people are gone a lot. I mean, you know.
We don't really have this on the agenda.
That's correct. So let's
and-
not talk.
and the
Thank
city
you.
clerk is
This is a
doing some
committee
other
report.
research.
Good.
Well, I guess the point is, don't let anybody schedule anything.
We won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the caution is you do have an election. You could have a
When is it, when's the election, the 1st or the 8th?
8th.
Eighth?
The 8th.
So
Well, we
what
want to
does
stay away from that, so.
Yeah.
the,
Well, let's try. I'm just thinking out loud. This is not an engine, but the city attorney's squirming in a chair already.
We'll bring back a full report.
Would you
with
mind?
options
Thank you,
for the
sir.
next meeting.
Appreciate that.
maybe after election would be good.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I got one more item to update. We had our roundtables, SFO roundtable meeting that is to happen here in Brisbane was originally scheduled for June 1st. We had to cancel that. So we are working on getting that rescheduled, and we have a couple dates here in June that we're working on, and we hope to have that probably within the next couple weeks. And as soon as we have a date, we'll get that information out to the public.
Good, thank you. Anything else? No? Okay, oral communications number 2, an opportunity for someone to address the council on matters not on the agenda. A lot of blue coats out there. The one,
Give the motion to adjourn.
Second.
there are a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you.